Tonight on Legislative Review, regulating self-checkout stations in grocery stores, and a bill targeting cruelty to animals, plus community solar projects. That's coming up on Legislative Review. Thanks for joining us for Legislative Review. I'm Mike Bay, standing in for Angela Nolasco.
There has been a lot of challenges across Washington for grocery workers with unchecked automation and chronic understaffing.
Members of the House Labor and Workplace Standards Committee convened Wednesday to hear a bill that could impact the way Washingtonians shop at grocery stores and people who work at them. Specifically, the use of self-service checkout stations, which House Bill 1739 aims to regulate. Under the proposed legislation, stores over 15,000 square feet, which sell food for off-site consumption, would be required to fulfill specific conditions before offering self-service checkout options to their customers. The bill aims to require that any time a self-service station is in use, at least one manual checkout must also be open. Additionally, a new 15-item limit will apply to self-service checkouts, and signage displaying this restriction will be required. What's more, employees responsible for monitoring these stations must focus solely on this task and will be restricted to overseeing no more than 2 self-service checkouts at once, effectively curbing the multitasking that many grocery store workers currently face. The bill also emphasizes workplace safety. Employers will need to include self-service checkouts in their accident prevention programs for the well-being of workers and customers. Exempt from the bill are warehouse-style stores like those that sell bulk items and require a membership. As the debate unfolds, supporters argue it will improve customer service and ensure grocery store employees aren't stretched too thin. On the other hand, some retailers are concerned about the added costs and operational changes this may bring. Democratic Representative Mary Fossey, who sponsored the bill, said using self-checkout as a way to eliminate workers and cut labor costs puts both employees and consumers at risk.
Those peak times when they're trying to monitor theft, and then we have malfunctioning machines, and then they have angry customers. We saw that our grocery workers were the front line workers during the pandemic, and those frustrations from the public were taken out on them. So this is not meant to be a ban on automated checkout. This is more of a conversation starter to talk about ensuring that automation is used responsibly.
QFC cashier trainer Amy Daly Angel testified in support of the bill.
I understand the value of having self-checkout machines in the stores, but the reality is far from quick and easy checkout experience. The staffing shortages caused by the rise of self-checkout machines have created a stressful and often dangerous environment for both workers and customers. Staffing is directly tied to safety, and unfortunately, the reality is that we are not safe at work anymore. Corporate grocery employers are cutting staff to save money, and we are paying the price.
Katie Beeson of the Washington Food Industry Association spoke in opposition.
We would need to man one person for every 2 checkout stations, which is overkill and honestly just kind of defeats the purpose of self-checkout. There are no states in the country that have implemented any self-checkout laws. The only state that's even considered them is California, and that was last year, and they did not pass anything. Thank you.
If enacted, enforcement will be strict. The Department of Labor and Industries will investigate complaints, and stores found violating these regulations could face penalties up to $100 per day, capped at $10,000. The Attorney General's office could also take legal action for more severe violations.
House Bill 1149, clerk will read.
On the House floor, state lawmakers debated a bill designed to crack down on animal cruelty and fighting. House Bill 1149, which just cleared the Community Safety Committee, is looking to expand penalties and enforcement around the mistreatment of animals. It takes on everything from organized animal fights to negligence and abuse. Under the bill, if someone is found participating in or helping with animal fighting, they'll face harsher consequences, including permanent bans on owning or being around animals. It proposes to lower the felony class for those intentionally mutilating animals during fights, but increases the severity of penalties. The bill will broaden the definition of cruelty to include more forms of neglect and abuse, requiring that all animals, not just dogs, be given proper food, water, shelter, and medical attention. Supporters say the bill is a major step forward in protecting animals, while lawmakers also emphasize it's about public safety, citing research showing links between animal cruelty and other violent crimes like domestic abuse. During final passage, Democratic Representative Darya Farivar spoke in support.
Harming animals is a strong indicator that that person will harm humans too, or is already harming humans. I support this bill because it doesn't just increase criminal penalties, but it sets a standard of what is appropriate for caring for these innocent companions.
A key provision of the bill will allow law enforcement to step in faster when animals are at risk, reducing the time they have to wait to seize neglected animals, a point which Republican Representative Sam Lowe spoke on while sharing his support for the bill.
This is going to bring some consistencies to animal fighting, consistencies to the law around animal cruelty that is currently making it very difficult for our prosecutors to prosecute these cases. This particular bill is going to protect our communities. We value human life, we value humans, but we also value animals too.
The question before the House is final passage of engrossed substitute House Bill 1149.
The House took a floor vote.
The Speaker has started the roll call machine.
Mr. Speaker, there are 96 yeas, 0 nays, 2 excused.
Having received a constitutional majority, engrossed substitute House Bill 1149 is declared passed.
House Bill 1149 passed unanimously and now heads to the Senate for consideration.
Welcome, committee members, staff, presenters, and all of our folks watching from TVW.
A bill moving through the state Senate aims to make clean energy more accessible to a wider range of residents, particularly low-income communities and tribal areas. Senate Bill 5634, which was heard by the Senate Environment, Energy, and Technology Committee Wednesday, concerns Washington's Community Solar Expansion Program, a program run by WSU providing $100 million in payments over 10 years for solar projects benefiting low-income service providers and some tribal and public agencies. Proponents say community solar projects are limited in size, and many people who rent or cannot afford to install solar panels on their own are left out of the benefits of renewable energy. The bill proposes to increase the size of projects that will allow larger solar farms to reach more consumers. It also introduces financial incentives for early-stage funding, helping to cover costs for groups that want to start solar projects, especially those in lower-income communities. Democratic Senator Liz Lovelet is the bill's prime sponsor.
There were some real structural barriers to accessing those resources, and I think opening up some of the definitions for low-income housing providers, and especially I love the idea of having tribal governments being eligible for some of these proceeds, and really clarifying that kind of relationship to the utilities and how some of these projects can happen.
Maggie Douglas of Puget Sound Energy testified in favor of the bill.
Washington has 19 megawatts of community solar. 85% of that is administered by PSC, and over 40% of that is provided to low-income customers at no cost. This bill is more important than ever before. With federal funding for solar uncertain, this program may be the only remaining funding source to support the deployment of community solar for low-income customers in the state.
Several solar companies testified with concerns, mostly on power purchase agreements, or PPAs as they're known. Gavin Tenold of Northwest Renewables.
The intent for that work is to be done inside the state borders by tradespeople and apprentices who live here, with the project being located as close as possible to the low-income residents' dwelling. That may not happen with PPAs. PPAs are paperwork, not silicone, glass, and aluminum located on or near a residence. I think we would support power purchase agreements for the purpose of community solar if we can get them closer to the site.
If passed, the bill could impact the state's solar goals to transition to 100% clean energy by 2045. And that's it for Legislative Review. As always, full hearings are available to watch on demand at tvw.org. Links to TVW's live coverage of committee hearings can be found on the legislature's website, leg.wa.gov.